Hello everyone, today I want to share my Wriothesley build and teams with you in this short guide. As always, I start with a build, then go over team compositions, and at the end I show some Abyss gameplay.
For more, please.
The build is pretty straightforward. As always, your highest priority will be crit damage, and then for this character specifically, attack and cryo damage bonus. And I think that's basically it. I wouldn't bother too much about energy recharge or elemental mastery. Sure, you get the occasional melt, but it's not worth going out of your way to chase the stat in my opinion. As for talents, definitely level up the normal attacks first. It's the main source of damage for this character. Then the elemental skill, you basically only deal damage while this is active. And for the burst skill, I was really impressed by this when I first saw it, 216% times 5. But in reality, it doesn't seem to hit super hard. Sure, it's good AoE damage, but in a single target scenario, I'm not even super confident if you want to press this over just dealing more normal attacks, if I'm completely honest. But still, just in case, level it up last. As for Constellations, I'm not gonna lie, at first glance they seem a little strange to me because Wriothesley is all about normal attacks and his Constellations are all about improving his charge attacks. So maybe the focus of this character completely changes with this. I'm not super sure, but Constellation 2 is just extra damage, Constellation 4 is essentially just extra attack speed, and then Constellation 1 and 6 improve his charge attacks. So if you whale your way all the way down to Constellation 6, I'm not sure if you actually want to do a lot of normal attacks, you might actually want to just spam charge attacks for some reason. So again, a little strange to me. As for weapon options, this patch we don't even have to search very long because we get a free 4-star event weapon, the Ballad of the Boundless Blue, which is great for Wriothesley. The effect is basically tailor-made, normal and charge attack damage, and it has high base attack, which is kind of important because Wriothesley has innately kind of low base attack, and this makes up for it. For the same reason, if you have a 5-star weapon, it will feel even more impactful because higher base attack. And if you don't have any of those, if you missed the event weapon, you can go with something like the Witsith, it's decent, or even if you still have Dodo Cotates, again, it's also decent. As for artifacts, we already covered substats earlier. As for main stats, it's guaranteed attack percentage here. For the cup, I just keep it simple and run cryo damage bonus, even on the Shimenawa set. Yes, you can do some weird min-maxing with attack percentage cups, but I can't be bothered, especially if you run Bennett, that whole idea is already out of the window. As for the last slot, it's crit rate or crit damage. Keep in mind, Wriothesley has Ascension stat crit damage, so crit rate here is likely better to lead to a more balanced setup. As for the set effects, yes, the Maréchaussée Hunter is really good, but for this character specifically, I don't think it's that obvious because the Shimenawa set seems really nice because it's a lot of normal and charge attack damage, and keep in mind Wriothesley uses both, and like I said earlier, I'm not super impressed by his burst skill, so losing energy doesn't feel terrible on this character compared to others. As for teams, Wriothesley is a close range main DPS, which means he can take some chip damage here and there, and on top of that he will also drain his own HP, which can make him feel a little squishy. And as opposed to Novelette, for example, who has really good self-sustaining, Wriothesley really hasn't, so in my opinion you definitely want a potent healer, especially since Wriothesley wants to be above 50% HP. If he ever drops below it, his elemental skill will be inactive and you lose a lot of damage. I think two stand out. One is Kokomi for a free team, and the other one, even better in my opinion, is Bennett, because again, Wriothesley's base attack isn't super high, and Bennett definitely single-handedly fixes this. And from here, I suggest to go for Melt or Freeze, and the number one character that comes to mind for Melt is obviously Xiangling, but even something like Thoma, especially if you have C6, can be very interesting, and then your aim is to get like a Pyro-infused Kazuha burst skill, and you melt with Wriothesley. It can be a little awkward though, because you need to aim to get the melts on the charge attacks, which is a little bit of a timing thing that you need to get used to in my opinion. And for Freeze, we are obviously looking for a Hydro character. Of course, Yelan is the prime character here. If you don't have her, Jingxiu will do just fine. And then in the last slot, some utility character, again, something like Kazuha or Zhongli, or something even like Yunjin, for example, for the extra normal attack damage. As for the showcase, first of all, he has two visual indicators. One is the duration of his elemental skill is represented by this wolf head, and the other one is the red glow around Wriothesley, which indicates that his improved charge attack is ready to go. On top of that, when it recharges, you also see a small red symbol popping up. I'm not gonna lie, in the heat of the moment, this is a little hard to see. I kind of wish it was reversed, because let's be honest, when his elemental skill is dropping off, we can already see it by the damage numbers going down, and the real important thing to track here is the charge attack. But aside from this, his normal attack chains really nice together with his charge attack. At the end of it, you can just press the charge attack skill, and you do around, in my experience, 2 normal attack chains into a charge attack. By then it should be recharged. And now I'll just fight the Ruin Guard to see how it looks in practice. Keep in mind, at the beginning of the fight you can always do a non-improved normal attack to just apply Cryo to swirl it with Kazuha, for example. But keep in mind, if you play a freeze team, you don't really have a lot of opportunities to apply Hydro afterwards, because it's constantly frozen, the target. So if you want to double dip with Kazuha's buffs, for example, it's gonna be hard to swirl both unless you start with Hydro swirl. And for now, I'm gonna leave you with some Abyss gameplay, and just keep in mind, this boss is a little special because it's all about breaking the pearl as fast as possible, which is reflected in a little bit of a unique team composition.
Everyone hold hands. Everybody stand. Eat this. Boba, get the...
Let's begin. Stay cool and face your guilt. A moment, please.
Alright, we made it to the end. I hope this gave you some inspiration for your own bits. Stay tuned for more videos. Until then, have fun and bye bye.